Alrighty guys, so I wasn't planning to make this video like anytime soon, but we've had a huge kind of thing going on within the community of our essentially creature capturing games dead, not only on Roblox, but kind of in general. I know Gym Leader Ed a little while ago made a video just like this, but Lucky HG today made a video called Are Creature Capturing Games Dead on Roblox? And I did this kind of video before where I did it to Ag's video. If you guys haven't seen that video, there'll be a little bubble up in the little corner, so you guys want to go check that out about how he felt about the launch of Tales of Tenario. But we're not here to talk about specifically just Tales of Tenario. We're here to talk about all creature capturing games on Roblox as a whole. We're going to see what he's talking about. I'm going to have a lot more of this video chopped out. So it's not going to be just this video, guys. It's not going to be just a reaction to this video. It's going to be a lot. It's going to be talking about this in full, but I want to watch this video and give you guys a little bit of few clips from his video that I sort of agree with and stuff that I don't. And then we're also going to go look over at some Twitter comments, which, you know, it's Twitter, so everyone hates it. But, you know, we're going to look at a lot of the community response, including some of the comments that are also on this video. We're going to be looking at all of it, and we're going to essentially just be talking about the fact of, are creature capturing games actually dead? Because I do want to go ahead here and just stay as I mask screen this video that Lucky HD is a part of a dev team for a creature capturing game. And even though he does see that, hey, Tales of Tenario, which is the game that he's currently working on or a part of, it has low numbers, and he does show it a little bit. I have watched 5 minutes of this video, so some of it's not going to be new to me, but after the 5 minutes, it will be new to me. But he has to have a positive outlook on it because he has put his time and his energy into playing and creating, you know, Tales of Tenario as an experience, especially being a modeler for that game. And so I think a lot of the things that people need to see is this is coming from a very positive look instead of an actual community outlook. I'm coming from an actual community outlook as a YouTuber, as a person who's been playing these games, not only Tales of Tenario, Loomian Legacy, Doodle World, you know, all of these monster catching games, as well as the upcoming ones that I've covered on my channel, like Elion Adventures or Paramon. We're talking about games that like Pokemon, we're talking about games like Nexomon, we're talking about games like Power World, we're talking about games that all over the monster catching genre have had to deal with. And honestly, I don't really think any of the stuff that he said within these first things is even close to being correct. But hey, let's go ahead here and just get right into the video, and let's actually see if he's, you know, spitting facts or if he's not spitting facts.
Is Loomian Legacy dead? Is Tales of Tenario dead? Is Doodle World dead? Or is the creature capturing genre as a whole on Roblox dead? To answer the question, no. None of these games are dead, and the genre itself is not dead. To be dead means that nobody would be playing these games and nobody would be in these communities. So when people...
Okay, we're already starting off strong with something I already disagree with, and you could look at the numbers. And the thing about it is you look at the numbers and you're like, oh, well, they have 400 or 300 people playing the game. It's not dead. It is dead, especially counting on Roblox standards, because on Roblox standards, with the minimum that your game should be carrying on average is around, I would say, 5k players. If you have 5,000 players, you have a healthy player base. If you're counting around the hundreds, any of the hundreds, if you're not even holding 1,000 players consistently over a long period of time, and don't get me wrong, I know some games over time, you know, they have update schedules and things that, you know, come out at different times and take a little bit longer to upgrade, but you have to be real. You have to be realistic, okay? Having 400 people playing your game, unless they are consistently putting money into your game, is not going to make you a lot of money, and it's also not going to give you an active community that's going to want to continue to play the game. You're essentially dedicated to having a small group of people who are extremely dedicated and passionate towards the game. And some Twitter comments actually mentioned this and stuff, that yes, you need that community for your game to be able to survive, because without that community, your game is absolutely dead. But is your game not dead just because, oh, we have people who actually are still playing our game? No, your game could still be dead and still have people playing it. It's just because people want to play certain things and you have that community. But overall, if your game is not holding 1,000 players minimum, your game is dead. It essentially will have a community that is very distant from each other, that doesn't have that many connections, and, you know, can come through. Now, just because your game is dead doesn't mean your game can't be revived, which is something else that he also brings up in this video. But, you know, let's hop right into it and, you know, kind of just hear a little bit more of what he has to say.
People use these words, I feel as if it is a little disingenuous, because they see updates and they see releases of games with really high player counts, and then a couple weeks later, they start to see, oh, well, the players aren't playing it anymore, therefore that means it's dead. This is an issue not exclusive to just Roblox. Other creature captures outside of Roblox, like Power World, started out with 2.2 million peak players, and now where are they? Well, only 30,000 people are playing. And
yeah,
I know,
but do you see the difference?
30,000 people, that's still a lot.
This is another. It's like, yes, he's about to say it as well. This is a 98% player decrease. But the difference between Power World and like Tales of Terraria Loomian Legacy is, while Power World is still going to get content updates, it is still going to get PAL updates, it's still going to get things like that. It has the exact same syndrome as these Roblox games do have. It does have that same issue of, hey, we had a lot of players, like this 2.2 million, as you guys could clearly see right here, compared to now 30,000. But the difference between those two things is, yes, while you are losing 98% of your player base here to get to 30,000, they still had 30,000 people playing their game. The outlook that Power World had as a mainstream game, it was a lot different. You're not going to get this on the Roblox platform. I don't even think Loomian Legacy at its peak hit this. I believe Loomian Legacy at its peak only had like 60,000 players or something like that. It got nowhere close to 2.2 million. I don't think a single Roblox game on the platform is going to get close to 2.2 million, in all honesty. However, 30,000 people is still a lot. It may not be anywhere near what the peak was, especially counting on the fact that Power World set records, but 30,000 people still shows consistency in wanting to actually play that game. 100 to 200 to 300 players is not enough people. It's not going to make you the same money that making 30,000 people, especially counting on the fact that Power World was paid for. Your game is free. If you had to pay for Tales and Tales hit 30,000 people, at that point, well, you couldn't complain because it's not exactly free. Now, yet again, I know Xbox Game Pass users, but you guys are still paying for Xbox Game Pass, and the game studio also got a revenue cut from the Xbox Game Pass. So yes, well, maybe I think it was literally like a quarter of this player base of the original 2.2 million is off of Xbox. They still had over like 16 million, 17 million, something like that. 25, I think it was 25 million alone off of just like, or not 25 million, but it was like 20 million alone off of Steam, which the game cost $30. And a lot of other creature capturing games on Roblox do not have this. And I think this is the difference of what they're not looking at. From a monetary value standpoint, this game was so profitable that even if it does make future updates and it's not like, the best or really worth the money or whatever else, they already made all the money they needed to off of this being a full paid game. Compared to Roblox games, which are actively free to play games that either have pay to win mechanics or have essentially the player base asking to pay, but then that comes with a whole another bag of issues that a lot of people are not talking about. And the fact of, to able to keep people wanting to do this, if it's not a passion project that they are just so willing to spend all their time and energy into, because creating a creature capturing game is difficult. It is not easy to do. You have to have some monetary gain to be able to make that a plausible thing. Loomian Legacy had it, but it made so much money to a point where it stopped caring about its updates. And that was the major issue that Loomian Legacy had as a monster catching game. Comparatively to this game, Tales of Terraria may go through something similar, but we will have to see. Let's keep listening.
Whether it be good or bad, but what I'm trying...
Okay, I do want to specify that right there. Another thing that kills these games is the community. And I think a lot of the hardcore players, and then this is the whole reason why Loomian Legacy has such a committed community as it is, and why it's so awful of a game in general, is because of the hunting community. They ruined this game by giving GR. GR should never have been a thing. The entire system and the way how GR works is another thing that turns people off from playing these games. I'm just gonna be honest with you, the whole thing of we have to hunt and everything in Roblox has to be a 1 in 1 million or 1 in 1 trillion or 1 in 2 million, 3 million, 4 million. Like, everyone has to have some rare thing that's supposed to be of value that somebody puts like over value, or they'll try to be like, oh, I have to give you 50 billion of this just so I could get like a small, like this one rare thing that's available in the game. Nobody cares. So the casual audience is not going to care. And at the end of the day, when it comes down to player bases, they will always be a casual audience. Hardcore may give you publicity. I want to say this is the biggest thing, because competitive, as well as hunting, this is for both, but mostly I see it from a competitive side because I am more of a competitive player. I will be a competitive player in TOT. I will also be a competitive player in Pokemon. But the thing about it is it's like, while they will give you publicity, they will give you a side that other people have, it is still going to always be niche. Not everyone is going to care about battling. Not everyone is going to care about hunting. Not everyone's going to care about trying to get that 1 in 1 million rare skin encounter or something like this. And this is one of the biggest issues that I also see that so many other YouTubers, as well as just other people in general, push, is this whole fact notion that everything has to be extremely rare and that you have to really work towards something. And it's like, that's great for like the 300 players that are going to stick around, but if you really think about it, if you really put it into perspective, if you really try to actually spend the time and actually look into it or whatever, you would clearly see the whole reason these games have such low numbers is because nobody wants to do that. Nobody has the time to sit here and be like, I'm going to hunt for 15 hours just so I can get a different color version of Amon. One, that's not fun, and two, like, let's be real, that's not it. And I'm not saying, oh, you should give away shinies, or you should make it to where your hardcore players don't get awarded for the time they put into the game. It's just that you have to have a good balance of both, and I feel like a lot of these games just do not have that. They do not have a good balance of either let's do this or let's do that. It's mostly one or the other, and if you don't like it, you essentially just don't play the game. And I generally feel like that is one of the biggest issues that this game does have.
Trying to say here is that with this being the literal only form of replayability, and with games like Souls RNG that just reward for basic mindless AFK grinding, no wonder games are not performing well. Which leads me into my next point right here, and that is going to be innovation. Innovation with creature capturing games is something that is very hit or miss. I mean, with Doodle World, obviously you have the really nice kind of art style and stuff like that. You have the very just unique aspect of the game, and you also have other stuff, you know, of obtainment, like the chains and, you know, with the ores and the tints, and then you have the roulettes and all that stuff. Like, there's some stuff that actually makes Doodle World a unique game, but with a game like Loomian Legacy, what necessarily differentiates it from a standard creature capturing game? What essentially Loomian Legacy is a standard creature capturing game.
Loomian Legacy is a standard creature capturing game. The difference between Loomian Legacy is Loomian Legacy has been out for years. And then this is another thing that I want to specify between TOT. He brings it up, I believe, in the video, but the difference between Loomian Legacy, between all of these, is Loomian Legacy was essentially the second, or really not second, I want to say it was really like the fourth major monster catching inspired game on the Roblox platform, because obviously we had things like Project Pokemon, we had things like Brick Bronze, and then we also had things like Project Fighters, which if you guys remember that, or I believe it was like Pokemon Fighters, it was essentially like something different, but it was still creature capture inspired. Those games were set up to a point where they were backing off of the Pokemon IP, but those were like the only Pokemon games that were really on the platform. So when Pokemon got taken off the platform for takedowns and everything else, we had Loomian Legacy, and that was it. We didn't have anything else. Loomian Legacy was the first. So the only reason you would play Loomian Legacy at the time when it first was coming out was because that was the only option you had. If you really liked creature capturing games, that you actually liked what Llama Train Studio was putting out on Roblox, Loomian Legacy was the only thing you had to play. Now that Loomian Legacy has, you know, Tales of Tenorio, we have Doodle World, we have Elion Adventures coming up, we have Paramon coming up, we have all these other monster catching games finally actually making it onto the platform. What place does Loomian Legacy have? The only reason Loomian Legacy even to this day has a player base is one, because of story updates, and two, because of its super dedicated hunting fan base that comes from the fact that they've spent hundreds, if not thousands of Robux on the game just so that they can obtain a different color version of a fucking dog. Like that just is what it is. Like, Loomian Legacy hitting 500 numbers is not surprising because the game's been out for 6 years and they have an update schedule of an actual slug. We're talking about a brand new game that just came out and is already down to 500 players with a sort of consistent update basis, although we are still missing content that we should have already had at launch. So it's really weird. It's really weird, but we gotta see. We gotta see.
Game that you actually have to pay money for in order to find the rare things. And what is Tales of Tenorio? Well, it's just a creature capturing game where you don't have to pay anything to find rare things. And right now, that is it. And of course, I'm not going to speak too much on Tales of Tenorio when it comes to replayability and all that stuff. And I don't think that, you know, even just comparing the games in general is really fair. TOT is in its infancy right now, but I think a more kind of fair look into things would be a game like Loomian Legacy. I mean, you look at Loomian Legacy, and the reason why it hasn't grown, you know, the way that you would expect a regular Roblox game, you know, that has been out for almost 5 years to grow, is because Loomian Legacy hasn't really done anything to actually innovate their game. And that's not me taking shots at Loomian Legacy, that's just an objective fact. I mean, other than, again, like I just mentioned, everything else, what is there different about Loomian Legacy than your standard creature capturing game?
But that was
nothing.
But that's the thing. That's the whole thing. Loomian Legacy was always designed to just be a creature capturing. It was never designed to be more than that because that was all we had. They were the only people who knew how to do it. Now that other people know how to do it, it's boring. Like, and the fact that also Loomian Legacy has been out for so long, comparatively to these other games, that it's like people have been played that, been done that, and Loomian Legacy has made way more money than any of these other games have, probably by thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, like of Robux. Like let's be real.
Nothing. You obviously had raids and stuff like that, and raids were really nice, but you can't do raids anymore. The raids were a one-time feature that after you beat them, you could never challenge again, when something like that could have actually been a really good source of replayability that they could have added, and it would have been perfect. And the exclusion of replayable features in creature capturing games, again, I mean, you even think outside of Roblox, creature capturing games, Power World. What does Power World even have to do in it? After you catch some stuff and, you build a base, what is there to do in it? That's why nobody's really playing Power World anymore. Loomian Legacy, what is there to do anymore? If it's not an event, why even play the game? Tales of Tenorio, I mean, the game doesn't even have PvP, doesn't have trading right now, so why even really hunt? You know what I mean? Like, why hunt for things that you're not going to be able to trade right away? And the thing is, it's not like these games and updates are bad updates, it's just the fact that, again, there is nothing to really keep players hooked and to keep them coming back and actually, doing stuff over and over and over again. And I think that's where, whether it be current, obviously, again, I can't speak too much on Tales of Tenorio since I work on the game, but with other games like Loomian Legacy and all that stuff, like, there has to be some level of innovation in actually creating a unique feature that is going to differentiate from the status quo and keep people coming back every single day to play the game. And my entire point with this is that the creature catching genre in general is really built to fail. It's, with how the current formula is, obviously, story, catch creatures, maybe there's an event, kind of sprinkled in every once in a while. Like, that formula right there is really just destined to fail. And I think it's really time for a lot of creature capturing games to start, taking risks in a sense of, actually trying out new features that are not going to just be the whole same old that we've had since 2019 when the first creature capturing game, which obviously was Loomian Legacy, came onto the platform. And I think Loomian Legacy, in part has kind of set the standard for...
Okay, here's probably the final thing I want to talk about on this video. Before I bring in any of like the comments or the Twitter posts, I will watch the rest of the video, but like I don't plan to actually probably like look through. I think this will be the final thing. But from what I've seen is he's talking about, oh, we need to bring in new stuff. We need to do different things. However, there's caveats to this, because if those new things suck, your game will die. I'm just gonna be real. This is another thing. When you innovate, you can't. This is what I'm saying, and they're not exactly essentially, because the way how he says it is creature crafting games are made to fail. They're not made to fail. There's an audience there for them. That's the obvious reason why these games started off with so many people playing it, and all these games having such large player bases at the start and then they having low player base at the end. There's always something there for it, but the difference is you have to... The thing about game, and this is what I have to say about game development, especially when it comes to creature capturing games, they don't put passion into what they're doing. They think that just because you create enough Fakemon and that you put a bunch of text and a bunch of animations, or maybe not even really a lot of animations, I don't even want to bring up the fact of the animations. They think that, no, you have to actually try to grip the player into doing something. Pokemon doesn't have to do this because Pokemon has a cult following where regardless of what they put out, they're going to be successful. They could put out the worst game in the entire existence of the world, right? They could put out one of the buggiest, one of the trashiest, one of the ugliest, one of the most poorly written and designed games ever, and people will still buy it and say that it's good simply because it has Pokemon in it. Literally, there is a clip from Mighty Keith, and if I can, I will try to find it for this video. If I don't, probably because I'm lazy. But he literally goes, "Can I catch Pokemon in it? Well, yeah. Can I battle Pokemon in it? Yeah." And it's like, that's all the casual fans wants to do. And when it comes to actually making a unique game, you need to do more than that, because why the fuck would people want to play your game and do that when they don't have a cult following? You don't have that cult following. Like I said, the cult following you have for this game is like 300-400 players maximum, right? But what it actually like comes out to be for Pokemon is hundreds of thousands, right? Like you're gonna have the cult following of hundreds and thousands of people willing to sit there and buy multiple copies of Pokemon games simply because they are fans of it. They are fans of Pokemon. They grew up with Pokemon. You don't have that on Roblox. You don't have that with other monster catching games, and that's one of the things that I think they're still not understanding. Creating innovative ideas and making your game different and unique would not make your game the ideal version of what a creature capturing game is. That's why it's a risk. If you take a risk, and I want to tell you guys one really big game that, while I have played the crap out of it, I will not agree is a good game. It's an alright game, but it has the same type of thing that works extremely well on Roblox that still technically counts as a creature capturing game, and that's Pet Catchers. I don't know if anybody has played the game Pet Catchers. I will try to show some footage on screen. Pet Catchers combines all of the aspects of what is technically really successful on Roblox, and it mixes them with a creature capturing element to it. It has creature capturing elements to it. Now, there is some things that it's missing. It doesn't really have an overall branching storyline. It doesn't have, kind of like starters. It doesn't have that. It doesn't have like some of the ideal traditional things that you would see within a Pokemon game. But when it comes down to it, you do have to get discs. You do have to catch rare versions of monsters. There are shiny versions of those monsters as well that you have. There are, rarities to those, whether it's a common, an uncommon, a legendary, or a secret. You know what I'm saying? There is things to it, but it integrates really well onto what's popular on Roblox and what works. And that's why that game has consistently thousands of people playing it, compared to Tales of Tenorio and other stuff like that. And I'm not saying that every single other creature capturing game needs to become Pet Catchers. But the game in itself does innovate on it and is successful because it blends in with what's good on Roblox. Now, can other Roblox devs take what's good about other aspects that aren't the bad aspects? Because Pet Catchers takes, unfortunately, the bad aspects of Roblox and mixes them with monster catching to make them somewhat palatable, right, to the average person. But when you get into it, like, overall on what you want to do, I think a lot of the time, what they should try to do, what a lot of new CC developers should try to do, is take what works on actual successful games. Things like Type Soul, things like, anime adventures, things like, games like that. And, well, yeah, I know those are both anime-inspired games. That's also one of the reasons why they're successful. Take things that work with those games and combine them to the creature capturing game and make them work. So you still have an actual game and not the awful aspects of we're literally brain rotting children for content, on, Roblox. I think that's what they need to kind of, bring in and kind of work around. And instead of trying to do this whole, let's try to do something completely different that doesn't feel like a monster catching game, but it's a monster catching game and it sucks. Like this is what I'm saying. It's risks. You're going to have to take the risk, but at the end of the day, you do have to accept that if you do take that risk, you are potentially going to lose your entire community because the risk sucks. And if you revert it, a lot of people will still have issues with that as well. So you gotta be careful. Yeah, I think we're done with the video. Essentially, that's what I mostly wanted to go over. We're going to quickly just scroll down here. We're going to see some of the comments here. All CC games on Roblox fail to realize what their audience wants. Their audience wants stories and battles against NPCs, not real players. Only a quarter want to trade and hunt and get into competitive PvP. And if the audience doesn't want stories or battles, then they don't want to play CCs. CCGs, sorry. One of the best examples of this are events. Events in all the main CCGs have a formula. Quest, hunt, trade. You do a quest to unlock the ability to hunt new roaming/legendaries. You then hunt for that new thing, and then when you get it, you finally trade it away, and essentially you get something better. You see a lack of story or replayability. There is. While you could argue the story doesn't matter due to it being an event plus, the quest being in a story way, you can't deny the problem of replayability. TOT's Easter event. Was just a couple of Tenorians and a reskins, which is true. Nothing else to do apart from hunting and /trading. With Loomian Legacy, events have mini games. That is true. For Halloween, it was a maze. You have Christmas presents or whatever. I will say that the mini games were it was a nice change of pace, but was it overall going to hold up the entire game? No. Along with some recent events having more replayable raids, which you could get certain items from. This has a reason for basically the majority of the player base to go to that thing and play the event, even if it's short. Another thing for the event is to take away from development time, which, yeah, I love how, like, a lot of these games try to say, like, oh, these things don't take away from development time. They do, because you have to. It's like, why would you even want to work on an event when you could just work on the main game? I mean, it makes way more sense, but hey, it is what it is. Total believe it took 3 to 4 years for both Atlantean updates. That's facts. They're spamming events. That's also facts. Also, replayability in all games. Loomian Legacy is basically none. TOT has none. That's facts. Doodle World is the best out of the main 3 due to Runic Island and Help-centric quest, which is, kind of true. But yeah, I'm gonna end this video here. I've been talking for way too long. This is gonna be one really fun video to edit. I will definitely say that. But hey, if you guys agree with my opinions, tell me down in the comment section below. If you guys don't, you know, also put it down in the comment section below. And overall, just tell me what you guys think, because overall, I think I think a lot of the points of this video were really good. I think overall, a lot of what the community has been bringing on, because this is kind of a huge discussion right now, at least on Twitter, moving forward. And I'm excited to see, you know, what the CCG devs do from here on out to try to change this, to try to remedy this, and to really get this idea out there of they are dead, but you know, we could still revive them. You know what I'm saying? We can still revive these games. We can still have good games. We can still, you know, change things around. So yeah, hopefully you'll really enjoy the video, and hopefully I get to see you guys on my next one. Peace.